Welcome back at 6:41. It's been months since things have felt normal for young students here in the borderland. The pandemic has kept many of them isolated, and there are some concerns about how that can affect their mental development. Joining us live now to discuss this is Dr. Sarah Martin, a psychiatrist with Texas Tech University Health Science Center. Dr. Martin, thanks so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, go ahead and start with asking, what are some of these mental health issues that we've been seeing popping up for younger children?
For younger children, it's probably the most common is anxiety. But also the longer that children have more isolation, then we start to worry about depression as well. The younger kids who have bigger families are probably doing a little bit better because they have more company at home. And the older ones are probably the ones a little bit more affected, but even kindergartners, first graders need to be around their peers. And so we do think that it's affecting them. Now, it's also going to affect people who have pre-existing psychiatric problems more than it's going to affect a child who is functioning really well before all of this.
And Dr. Martin, what are some of the warning signs that parents need to look out for if maybe, they see their children might not be acting like they normally would?
Probably the most common one is going to be irritability, and that's going to present differently depending on the age of a child. So in a really young child, it's going to be more temper tantrums, more severe temper tantrums, and those temper tantrums lasting longer. Whereas in a teenager, it's going to be, they're going to be more sarcastic, they're going to have more, teenage outbursts. But the irritability is usually the first sign that parents are going to notice about their children of all ages. It just presents a little bit differently depending on the age.
And lastly, doctor, what effects can this social isolation have on young kids as they're still building their social skills?
For some kids, it probably won't have that much of an effect because a lot of their social skills are already built. Although at each age, at each stage of development, there are different tasks that the child is completing. It's a really complicated issue, and we don't really know yet. But what I would recommend, and maybe a lot of other people who are in the mental health field, would be to not completely isolate your child from all their peers. Usually, and the more anxiety you have in the household, the worse this problem is going to be. So letting them spend time with a few friends. A lot of parents feel more comfortable if it's outside. A lot of people have backyard pools, but also the parks are open. And so I would recommend letting your child have a few friends over, spending time with a few friends, because we really don't know what the effect is going to be. We haven't had anything like this in the modern world. Now, saying that, humans are very flexible. The healthier emotionally you are, the more flexible you are. And a lot of times, kids are much more flexible than adults in terms of, they have this big challenge, there's a huge change in their situation, and they'll just adjust as needed. They'll catch up on, we're hoping that they'll all catch up on whatever social development might be slightly delayed because of this pandemic. And, kids are never totally alone. Hopefully they have their parents at the very least there.
All right, Dr. Martin, thank you so much for your time. A lot of interesting information there. We do appreciate you joining us right here on Good Morning El Paso. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us.